The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Come to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.
Hello and welcome to another episode 120 of the BeAuSm Podcast, magic number 120. This is the first one in probably 20 or more episodes that I don't have my partner, co-host Mark Resnick with me. He's with his family. He's got a child graduating high school, so congratulations on that. I am flying solo in the studio with my friend here, Adam, in the ECAT studio. As always, Adam, thank you for all that you do to make us sound good and look good for this wonderful podcast. This episode is, as always, they're all interesting. This one came about because I did a keynote in Columbus, Ohio last month, and it was a life experience one for me because it's actually Columbus, Ohio was the audience in 2016, 2017 that I saw a guy by the name of Sam Glenn, who's been on the podcast. I saw him speak and I said, I can do this. And it was a long way to get to that stage. I got there. It was emotional. There was 1,100 people with record attendance. I got done. I was selling T-shirts afterwards. And this woman walks up to me and I didn't even know what she said. She just started talking and she was just loaded with energy. And she's like, I would be honored if I could be on your podcast with my partner, Jamie, and talk about the importance of health and wellness, specifically for older people. And I said, well, I'm one of those older people. I want to learn some stuff. And here we are. So first and foremost, that person being Carol Lake. Carol, welcome to the podcast.
Hi there. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you. And thank you for making the time. And then her partner, which this was the funny part, we were talking for a while, and she says, hey, have you ever seen 8-Minute Abs? And I was like, who hasn't? She's like, he's the 8-Minute Ab guy. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So this is the real life creator of the 8-Minute Abs, Jamie Brenkus. And welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, what a pleasure. What a lead in. Yes.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing great things because I'm learning at almost 49 years old. I am not in a good shape myself. I'm actually on a mission of trying to find balance because I'm traveling a ton, eating poorly, flying and sitting more than I probably should, but I have to because it's the job that I have, unfortunately. And it's been educational. I'm doing a 9-week meditation program, daily meditation program that I've gone off the wagon a little bit on that one. But as we get older, things start to break down. Maximum viscosity, as the Castrol GTX commercial says. Guess they lubricated and moving and all that stuff. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about both of your journeys in the health and wellness. Carol, you can start first, seeing as how you put this together.
Thanks. Okay. So actually my wellness and health journey started back in when I was like in my 30s. I had a lot of autoimmune issues that doctors could not label. So I was labeled, idiopathic. And I'd go to the doctor and go, well, what's happening? And they couldn't explain it to me. And then at my last doctor visit, the doctor literally looked at me and says, they handed me a book actually too and said, it's all in your head. And I'm like, you're serious. I'm breaking out in welts and hives and you're telling me it's all in my head. And that's when I went, whoa, it's not that I don't like the Western medicine. It is, there's a place for it, which it has saved lives, but I took my health into my own hands. And that meant by completely taking food out of my diet and starting all back over to see what was triggers, looking at the products that I put onto my skin. And then as I did that, I started healing without the help of Western medicine. So when I started seeing my body and my health transform, I started digging into seminars, classes, spirituality, became a certified health coach. And then from there, I just took it even further, to become a shamanic Reiki master, an Aegis Grace educator, a BFRBN certified coach, because everything we do, touch, and say affects not only our physical body, but also our metaphysical body. We are energy.
Mhm.
And no matter what you think, you're on this physical plane here on earth, there is an energetic side to our body, because
Mhm.
as everybody knows, when you never die, you're always alive and alive.
Mhm.
So when you do pass, you still have energy. So I took that and these classes and created a business called Total Wellness Coach. And my clients, I help them with the aging process. My little motto is that we are vibrant, not vintage. So
Mhm.
I do work with a lot of millennials, of course, Generation Xers, which I am, and then the boomers.
Bingo. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And so I want to help people realize that they are what they eat. They are what they think about themselves. They are the medicine. They can heal their body. They just have to be willing to put the time, effort, and energy into it. And that's what brings me to what I do today, which I am so passionate about and love. And I'm here to share that with you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. And Jamie, you're,
Wow.
I mean, that's,
My partner in crime.
yeah.
Yes. Well, I can tell you, I think mine's going to fail by comparison to that. That's quite a lead-in, Carol. No, it's impressive. And I will tell you this, Josh. Carol is certainly her passion is unparalleled, and that's half the battle. But I got into this as I've been an athlete all my life. When I was in high school, I was the conditioning coach for our baseball team, and I followed suit with a lot of training at that point. And when I went to college, I got a degree in actually communications. I was going to be a sportscaster, but I still had a passion for fitness, and so I figured I'm going to get a certification. So I actually get an exercise physiology certification through the American College of Sports Medicine. So I married both of those together and moved out to Los Angeles and started the fitness business in 1985 as a fitness instructor. But I knew that one-on-one was great, but I knew I had a little more ambition to help as many people as I could. And so lo and behold, I started doing, using my broadcast degree and started doing TV segments for ABC affiliate. So I moved back to Tampa. I went to University of South Florida in Tampa. And then all of a sudden, we started talking to a producer. And he said, I got this guy that wants to do some things, with products and stuff. So we conjured up this idea called 8-Minute Abs. And so everybody back in 94, you're going back 30 years this year. And everybody was thinking, well, you got to do an hour here, an hour there. And so we said, well, we got to be the antithesis to that and say, you know what? It doesn't work. Everybody's still, sitting on the couch. We need to say, let's do it in increments. Exercise is like, it's like a piggy bank. The more you put in, the more you get out. So if we do increments, it's accumulative. And so the idea of this 8 minutes, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. So we said, this is baseline doable. And so it just resonated. But Josh, you'll get a kick out of this. The master marketing guru behind 8-Minute Abs was no other than Carl Deichler. Well, Carl Deichler went on to form a little company called Beachbody, the $1 billion business now.
Yep.
And so Carl and I go back 30 years. And what a success story that is. And so we kind of just extrapolated that and kind of branched off into a lot of different products and programming. But it's funny how programming changes. I was 32 or so, 33 back then. I've got to tell you now, I'm a boomer, Josh.
Yep.
I'm not 43, not 50. I'm 63 now.
Yep.
So the idea is us boomers, we want to live longer. We want to look younger. We want to feel better. So the idea is now that we want to focus on trying to lessen the gap between our lifespan and our health span. And, we talk about, what's the real cost of aging? What if you do nothing? We know that he who has no time for his health today will have no health for his time tomorrow. So we know it's going to be high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, forms of dementia, forms of cancer, not mobile anymore, aches and pains. That's if you do nothing. So it's non-negotiable. You've got to do something, because if you rest, you rust.
Exactly.
And so Yeah. And so in the meantime, we got on the Dr. Oz show. We've helped Kathy Ireland with her programs. Gene Simmons of KISS, I worked out a few months. We had a PBS show on it's called Fit and Delicious, 2 years ago, that went over to 35 different states and 167 countries with the Department of Defense. So we've had a nice success, but we're not done yet. I know Carol and I, we talked about the idea of helping people that are our age, the kids that are in their 20s and so forth. They've got their own programming. Let them do what they have to do. But we can reach, there's 80 million of us baby boomers. That's a big, there's 330 people in the United States. Think about that. It's almost a quarter of us right there that are that age group. And again, we're fighting and scratching. There's a saying that we have here: I will not let age change me. I'll change the way I age. And so we really got to get this going. And I think we've hit the right platforms, and I think the right personalities and programming to really set this apart and point of differentiation. So let's hope so.
Yeah. Well, the boomers is the largest birth rate of all generations, and so the better you can age in that group, for us anyway, it's less wheelchairs to push around. So before we get into today's help, I got to ask a few questions about 8-minute abs.
Yes.
Whose backyard did you shoot that in?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because it was supposed to be done we were down in Clearwater, Florida, and it was supposed to be done in the studio, but it was such a nice day out. The director said, hey, let's take the sticks out, the tripods, and put 2 tripods out there, and let's get the models behind you, and let's just do it there's a little lake over there and a little tree, and let's put some crazy music behind it, and let's try to do it outside. And that's exactly how it came about. And it was just, it was one of those things that it just resonated at the time. And it's funny, we helped a lot of people back then, and Josh, nobody knew, back then the internet wasn't even, I don't think it was started.
You bought it on a VCR tape.
Yeah. Oh, it was VCR for sure.
Yeah.
And so, it's amazing though. People still to this day come up and say, hey, gosh, I still do those programs. But we started to get back into this because everybody was putting my stuff on YouTube, and the darn thing gained over 100 million views on YouTube. And I said, you know what? I got to start doing this again. So I started producing more videos, and that are more age specific. So it was was YouTube, because I thought, why not us? I mean, I was the originator of it. So, so it made more sense to get back and put my hat back in the ring. So here we are.
Yeah. There's a guy named GB on YouTube that has 8-minute abs on here, and it's got 35 million views.
Yeah.
I've
tried to reach out to him, and I don't even know where he's at. And we've shut a couple of people down, cease and desist. But I said, you know what? Let him go. Let's just get the views up there. Who cares?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, now I'm playing GB's video because I clicked on it. So this is you have to laugh at this. What you had to have seen something about Mary.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe, Josh, when somebody told me that. They said, you aren't going to believe, but they just did a spoof on 8-minute abs. I said, no, that's crazy. So we went and saw the movie, of course. It was a great movie with Ben Stiller.
Oh, my God.
Harlan Williams was the guy who basically was in the car with Ben Stiller and said, hey, you ever hear of 8-minute abs? Well, he's a comedian from Canada. I met him about 10 years ago, and he's a great guy. He ad-libbed that whole thing with Ben Stiller, and it was just a way to riff off each other. And it's really great because it showed you that it resonated with a large audience.
Oh, yeah.
And, it made sense. And it was a great way to get, instant recognition in a major movie. So it was kind of cool.
So last question, then we're going to dig in here.
Yes.
These are my inquiring mind questions of growing up. So I graduated in 1994 in high school. So I remember it. I remember the 8-minute abs. I remember obviously something about Mary. I'm a huge Stiller family fan. And so that part of the movie is he's Stiller says, well, what about 6-minute abs? And he's like, step into my office. You're effing fired, right? Because that's crazy. Where did 8 minutes come into play? Was that just there's obviously some sort of physio something? There's something about.
Well, it really, to be honest with you, it's the alliteration. It just, if you think about the letter 8, it all comes around as infinity. And so the idea was that if we did this right, and it just made sense, 7 minutes didn't blow off your tongue the way 8 minutes did. And so we just figured, I did the math for us. It was 1,440 minutes in a day. If you do eight minutes, that's 1/180th of your day. Who doesn't have that? So, and that's kind of how it kind of just started to basically, come into being. And, but yeah, 7 minutes wouldn't have worked. Yeah, you needed 8.
So
8 minutes in.
8 minutes. Can't be 7.
So let's talk about, you've both done a great job at aging well and learning. And Carol, one of the things that's interesting is, Jamie's an athlete. So he's, there's a lot of people can say, well, yeah, you're an athlete. You've been one for a long time. You got good genes. You got the athlete gene in you, whatever. Carol, you went through like a life-changing, you were sick and found all of this stuff and started to develop programs. It's kind of an interesting combo, So what are you guys doing today from your program standpoint? I'd love to learn more about the Grace. I closed
Ageless
it.
Grace,
Ageless Grace program, because it's one of the things that I find that I'm learning about is it's not just working out. It's not just spending 8 minutes working your body out. It's mind, body, soul, breathing, everything. That's one of the things I've been learning in this meditation program. So tell me more about, kind of some of these things and what you're doing, and how do you get people interested? Like, how do you get people do people just call you and say, I've had it, I want to live longer, I've eaten too many Big Macs? Or is this something that you guys are, doing massive outreach to try to get folks to realize that they need to get smarter with their lives?
Right. So for me, I've actually have been a gym rat. My dad started me and my sisters. I was probably 5 years old in the gym. And actually he would take us jogging around the block, even in the wintertime. I grew up outside of Youngstown, Struthers, Ohio. And we'd be outside jogging in snow. And I remember just one day I stop and go, why are we doing this? And he says, because if you get sick, I want your body to fight for you. I want your immune system strong. And that always resonated with me. And of course, I was a competitive gymnast, almost 16, 17 years of my life, played on the girls and boys tennis team, track team. So fitness was always a part of my life because my dad actually wanted boys and he got all girls. So he, let's let the girls be the active ones.
How many siblings do you have?
A total of 5.
5 girls.
5 girls. Yep.
Wow.
Even the dog was a girl.
What?
So yeah, my poor dad. And he wanted boys. And of course I have a twin sister. So before he thought he was going to have boys, and no, 2 more girls. So
oh wow.
Yeah. So when I was going through all these health issues, I never stopped exercising. And back then I couldn't afford a gym. So I started making up programs in my own home. I bought weights from a garage sale. I mean, there was a point in my life where I was a single mom with 2 little babies, 2 children. And, I'm taking care of my 2 children. And so, like I said, I found weights, I found exercise bikes, and that was my gym in my house. And I would work out, and I created my own routines that worked for me. But then I also started developing a diet plan, a food plan, that can work also for my system. And like I said, I went through all these changes with health, and it also, the American Standard Diet, which is sad, and that's what to me it actually says sad. I noticed that it actually started in the 90s, and that's when my immune system really ramped up, is because they took out the natural ingredients out of our food, which our body can process, and put in synthetics, put in more ways to preserve the food longer. And that's when I started getting even, if you want to say, sicker. And that's when I had to go to a holistic type of diet where it was literally eating lean meat, clean, all green, and taking out what worked for me and what didn't work for me. So it was a trial and error for many years. And again, when I started educating myself on the food, it's kind of fun too, because as I was going through this, faith really became strong for me, because there was days I was suffering. And I remember one day I dropped down on my knees and said, God, if I can help myself, then I want to help other people, because this isn't no way to live when you're literally feeling like your body, you're dying from the inside out. I would tell people I can literally feel my blood boil when, if I ate something wrong. And that's when the healing occurred. And that's when spirituality for me came into play, because literally I can feel angels around me. And and being the good Catholic girl, you know, a lot of things people say, oh, that's, kind of like taboo. No, there are angels and people who are around to assist us. And I truly believe in it now. And my intuition, my intuitive abilities, very much opened up. And so I incorporated that into what I do now with helping my clients. So you asked about how do people find me? It's actually, people are drawn to me, uh, basically with the same problems. I do have a Facebook business account, which I reach out to people and I share experiences, exercises. I'll gain clients through that. As I was just telling you earlier, I just competed in a bikini body fitness competition, posted that, and I actually had several more people reach out to me, which are going to now be potential clients, because they want to see themselves fit and healthy. So I say that a lot of people are drawn to me just because of their own health issues, and they want to feel better. And it's not just strictly females. I actually have male clients as well, because I'll say something or do something that resonates with them, and they reach out to me and we connect. And I really work very strongly with my clients because I want them to become successful. And so far, it's been really good. So yeah, that's how I say people are drawn to me.
I'm going to be your male client wearing your Skinify spandex suit.
Absolutely. Those are
I want to see
awesome.
that.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
no,
not.
no, you don't. No, you don't.
No, I don't. Maybe I
Yeah,
don't.
no, you don't. No, but I think everybody in my town's gonna walk down Main Street with it. You get it, and yeah. So Skinify resistance band
Mhm.
leggings and
Leggings.
power sleeves. So
They
this,
are awesome. 3, 4, or 2, 3, or 4 bands. And what it does is it applies resistance training to the muscle. So the muscle thinks you're working it harder when you're not, which then affects the pituitary gland. So you're actually burning more calories and sweating, which is great because I want that, heartbeat to go up. And you're burning more calories. And I know they guarantee up to 400 more calories a day. So, which is great if you're I never say you're wanting to lose weight. You're wanting to burn fat because you want to create the muscle, because muscle is sexy and it burns the calories. So that's our goal.
okay, those are cool. Now,
Yeah.
for those of you that are watching, Jamie's in a gym, standing up, and we just talked about how you worked out from home and you had to find your own program. So do you have do both of you have gyms that people come to, or
I have an office. I go to my office. I'm sitting
Yep.
here in my business office at my home right now, but I do have
Okay.
an office that I work out of. And then I work with people one-on-one or through Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I go to a facility. So like I work at the YMCA.
Yep.
Several of my clients have YMCA memberships. I meet them there and we work out there.
Yeah, YMCA is a great program. I'm on
Yeah.
a board of governors for my local YMCA that's actually right next door.
There you go.
So, big fan. So,
Oh,
and
for sure.
so Jamie, is that your gym? Is that
Yes, actually, this is our fitness lab, as we call it, and we still have one-on-one clients that I've had for years, but we're certainly gravitating more towards a virtual platform,
Yep.
where we can certainly help a lot of people at one sitting. And I just see that's the wave of the future, and the future is now with live streaming. It's amazing what we're doing right now, but
Yeah.
to have access to live programming, there's something about it that makes it it's tantalizing for somebody on the other line to say, oh, you know what? In real time, I'm seeing that guy. He's in my living room doing exercise with me. And it's almost like when Jack LaLanne, who was my mentor, the late great Jack LaLanne, who was on TV for 34 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the idea that he was like their best friend. Every afternoon, he'd get the moms and the kids up and moving. And so it's just a crazy little side note as we move forward here. The LaLanne family, I just wrote a book 3 years ago with Elaine LaLanne. God bless you. She's 98 years old. It was called If You Want to Live, Move, Putting the Boom Back to Boomers.
Yep.
And so Elaine wants Jack's legacy to be where people remember him, because when people get in their 40s, they don't quite remember Jack because, he was relevant in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and with, a little bit in the 80s. But the fact is, he was the godfather of fitness, and we wouldn't be in business, Carol or I, if he wasn't paving the way for us. And so in last month, I get a phone call from Elaine's agent saying, hey, would you like to become one of the only 3 people at this point to become a LaLanne legend fitness pro? And I said, my gosh, I'd be honored. I would absolutely be honored because, like I say, Jack was a mentor to me. And funny story real quick, when Jack was 92 and he passed at 96.
Yep.
So Denise Austin, who was another fitness pro, you might've heard of.
Yep.
So she introduces me. She goes, Jack, hey, this is the 8-minute abs guy. So remember, Jack was 92 at the time. He gets me in a headlock, starts giving me a nuggie, right?
Yep.
He gives me in a nuggie, says, that's what's wrong with you guys. You think there's one body part. He starts laughing and he says, no, I love you. He goes, you just, help as many people as you can. He was such an energetic guy. And Elaine is the same way. She's effervescent at 98. And God bless her. Like I said, she's still going strong. Cognitive skills are right where they should be. And that's a perfect example of a living, breathing testimonial to healthy living. But Jack LaLanne, Josh, said it best. He had a great line. He said, if exercise is king, nutrition is queen. You put them together and you have a kingdom. And like what Carol was saying, with the emotional, spiritual side of things, from a physics standpoint, you still, if somebody wants to lose weight or get in shape and live a healthier, longer lifestyle, you still have to have good nutrition. You got to move a little bit. You can't take those 2 elements out. And I've got to tell you, as we age, there's certain macronutrients, if you will, because everybody says, well, how do you stay so lean? And I know I'm telling you, Carol and I have talked about this before. We need protein, and, especially as we age. And it's almost like you can't even imagine, when you start thinking about, all the studies that are out there and so forth. We know now that as you age, there's something that called sarcopenia happening. Sarcopenia is this muscle leaking, Josh, and it happens to every one of us. And if you don't do any resistance training, I've got to tell you, your muscle mass starts to decrease, and you start to think, well, shoot, I'm getting a little more lumpier and bumpier in certain areas. And so then we said, well, you have to have muscle activation, but you have to protein synthesis as a part of that. So there's a formula that we usually kind of fit into our programming, and it's, believe it or not, it's a lot of protein. And so let's say your listeners right now, you want to go 0.75% to 1 gram of protein per body weight. Now, what that equals, let's say if you have a listener that's 120 pounds, that means they have to get anywhere between 90 and 120 grams of protein a day. Now, a person that's 150 pounds, they've got to get 112 to 150 grams of protein a day. Somebody who's 200 pounds, that's 150 to 200 grams a day. That is not an easy chore to do.
It's a lot of protein.
It's a lot. And, and so we know that, we've got to get what I call people, it's lean, green, and clean. You want to have lean protein. You have to have certainly vegetables, anything that's green. And of course, clean is limit the empty calories as much as you can. And because people always tell you, how do you stay lean? There's an old saying that lean people lead lean lives, and it's their habits which make them lean. Cooking, eating, shopping, fitness, but even more importantly, thinking habits. And just like Carol was saying, it's a whole lifestyle program, and that's what you need. And it's not just fitness, it's not just nutrition, not just spirituality, it's everything in one. And it's got to be baseline doable. If we told a couch potato right now and said, you know what, you gotta be at least hour and a half in the gym every day, they're never going to do it, ever. So the idea was that, and even go back to the 8 minutes aspect, that was the catch. It was a catch because, hey, if you've got 8 minutes, well, we know that maybe, guess what? You're feeling pretty peppy today. You do a double 8. Now it's 16 minutes. Then it's 24. Then it's 32. But you got to catch them somehow and hook them first. And that's how we did it. But it's still, to this day, we just want you to get as many movements and minutes as you can. But you got to have strength training. And it doesn't mean you got to be Arnold Schwarzenegger out there. It's just a little resistance to get that muscle tissue up. Because I'm telling you, if you don't, old age starts saying the old saying, we don't stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. So you have to do some movement, and more isn't better. Better is better. And you have to have the resistance. To me, it's even more important than cardiovascular. I'm telling you, especially as we age. So that's my 2 cents.
With Jamie's, response there, a lot of people don't realize that without the muscle, you're not standing up straight and tall. You're not taking the deep breaths. And you're also prone then to falling because you don't have the lower body strength. So Jamie and I are really good for, we've got to strengthen the core and the quads, your hamstrings. That's key. And working your stability muscles in your legs. So, and again, as you age, that's something that's really important. We want the muscle.
Yeah. And Josh, I think a lot of people, again, at age, really, still losing weight's a key factor for them. And I always talk about throwing away that scale, but those 3 numbers do mean a lot to people. It's depending on those 3 numbers, it's a fit day or a fat day. But when I talked about lean people having thinking habits, I almost want to think, when you go on a diet, everybody says, well, you can't eat that, you can't eat this, eat less of this, less of that. I want to juxtapose a letter saying diet, D-I-E-T, to edit, E-D-I-T. Throw those around a little bit and not think of less, but think of the word more, okay? This is your listeners can do this. Not less, but more. More vegetables, more fruits, more healthy grains, more fiber, more lean protein, okay? More water, more sleep, more movement. So it's the idea of that juxtaposition of the letters, not diet, but edit, and make these little minor adjustments, and you're going to feel like $1 million. And that's the thing. So you just try to do things that are going to be doable for people instead of saying, you got to go on a diet, you can't eat this. No, we just want to eat more of the good stuff. But you don't have to be perfect. We always follow the 80-20 rule, and you just look at your plate and you say, okay, is this going to get me closer to my goal or further away? And if you can stay closer 80% of the time, that means 20%, you can eat what you want and you're still going to succeed and win at losing. And so that's where that idea of focus on progress, not perfection, because nobody's going to be perfect on a diet, except for Carol, of course, but especially when she's training for a contest, because every little ounce means a big difference. But most people just generally want to get in shape. They want to lose some weight, lose some inches. And again, be a little healthier, and especially as we age. So we know what works and we know what doesn't. So I hope your listeners can take that and say, okay, I can think about that. Now I think of the word more. I know I got to eat more protein. I know we're kind of where I need to have the grams. And again, it's very difficult, let's face it, to get that in your everyday nutritional plan. So sometimes you got to have some supplements. And I mean supplements, meaning I drink a shake every day. And I'll tell you why. Because I know if I can get 25, 30 grams of protein in, whey protein in a 30 seconds, I down it, it's 150 calories, I'm out the door. That right there is, I'm telling you, a shake a day. And there's tons of shakes out there that you can get, but make sure it's, a sufficient amount. But because, 3 ounces of chicken breast is about 25 grams of protein. You got 27 grams of protein in beef. You have Greek yogurt, which is great. 3/4 of a cup is 17 grams. Cottage cheese, 18 grams for 3/4 of a cup. Black beans, 16 grams. But the fact is, if you need 120 grams, that's a lot of food. So I believe in those quick shakes. And I've got to tell you, because it just gets in, the grams you need to push you over that edge to keep that protein synthesis. And I'm telling you, it works. So
and muscle recovery. It helps.
After workout.
Yeah.
No, so a lot of people don't know this, and you can't tell by the physique, the wonderful physique I have. But I was actually one of, if not the only male allowed in Gloria Stevens figure salons. I don't know if you ever heard of that place. It was an East Coast women-only figure salon chain. My mother was a director of.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was like one of
Well,
the
no,
best.
you got some muscle on you, Josh.
Oh yeah. No, they had 1.5 million members at one point in time.
Wow.
In the 70s. Yeah. So and Jack was the godfather, but it was also fitness the fitness gyms were created through Fred Astaire dance studios. A lot of people don't know that,
Sure.
that how important that was to the fitness world. So there's two things. The first thing is, so we talk about, in the world today, I mean, obesity's never been worse than it's ever been. There's never been more contradictory discussions on what type we should do. A keto diet, we should do a high protein, low carbohydrate diet, we should do a sugar diet. That's the one I've been doing. It's not working out too well for me. So, but like, I guess my question to you is, and I was, when I was growing up, it was like, hey, the 99-cent diet book that you get at the grocery store will work if you stick to it. I mean, are there certain diets that just work for certain people, or are there a lot of these things a fad? I mean, you see this cycle, right? So Gloria Stevens all women's figure salons at the time was one of the largest in the country, and then it went away, and then Curves came back 20 years later, right? And everybody's jumping on trampolines, women only trampolines for 5 years, and then that disappeared, and then the next thing. So, are a lot of these really fads, or are there programs that are just designed based on people that will keto work for somebody and not work for somebody else? Will, this high protein diet work for everybody? Like, what's your take on that?
Go ahead, Carol. I got my answer, but go ahead.
For me, so each client, it's individual. I listen to what they're saying. I listen to what they've done in the past, what worked for them, and then we come up with a plan for them. Not all diets fit everybody. It's what's going to work best for their body. So for me, I actually do the lean, green, and clean. And I do with my clients, it's removing the sugar, it's removing the dairy, anything that's inflammation, but it's also eating right for their blood type. I mean, because everybody is from a different area across the world, what their background is, their genetic makeup. So I work with them, but we also are going to be removing carbs, because a lot of the foods that we eat today, again, I tell my clients, if you cannot pronounce the word that's on the ingredients, you don't want it in your body. 5 and less is best. We work up a program that's going to be built to the protein, the fats, and the carbs that they're going to be taking in, plus the calories. And then we're going to add that movement. I'm also going to be adding in resistance training with them, because I want to see them burn those calories. So there's not one fad diet out there that matches everybody. I'm going to work with what works with my client, because that's what they need and what their body is asking. So Jamie, what do you have?
Well, Carol, no, I'm totally agreeing with that.
Yeah.
And Josh, is funny because some diets will work with obviously some people, and it's whatever you want to stick with. Because what I know is that a lot of diets that cut out complete food groups you're going to be malnourished on some level on something else. I always go back to a registered dietitian's, programming, if you will. But Carol just touched on something called inflammation, and I like to call it inflammaging, because as we age, our joints, they get red, they get swollen, they get in pain. And, you got to be careful with inflammation, because as we age, Josh, it's very important. There's chronic disease that's associated with it, whether it's obesity, arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, and there's certain foods that can certainly enhance that. Now, if you're eating red meat or processed meat or fried foods, or like she was just saying, refined carbs, and that means the white pastas, the white rice, the breads, the sugar, that is going to produce inflammation. And that's what a lot of people that are our age start to get. And they start thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. How do you get rid of that? Well, here's the thing. Green leafy vegetables, vegetables in general, olive oil, berries, cashews and almonds, something like dark chocolate, salmon. These are things that we know help inflammation. And so you almost have to think, what's their goals and objectives? And then you can yield a program based on that. But when it comes to losing weight, I don't care what anybody says. There's an energy balance to that. You're either burning calories or you're storing them as fat. I don't care what anybody says. And so there's the energy balance. If you want to be in a negative balance, well, you're going to have something, of course, that's a little healthier. And like Carol was saying about real ingredients, that's extremely important, because when, if it's right out of Junior's chemistry set, and you can't read it, I can guarantee your body can't process it either, because it doesn't know what it's doing. So, but with the idea of, I can tell you with sugar, it's interesting. Most people, as an average, get 22 teaspoons of sugar a day. What they want the average person to get, men should get anywhere between 8 or 9 teaspoons a day, which is about 150 calories from teaspoons of sugar. Women, about 6 teaspoons of sugar. And of course, that's about 100 calories. That goes quick. Because I can tell you, a can of Red Bull is about 5.5 teaspoons of sugar. You get McDonald's shakes, 16 teaspoons of sugar. You can't out-train a poor diet. There's no way, there's not enough hours in the gym. So again, depending on your goals, what are your objectives here? What's your why? And Carol can explain a why, but it's like peeling an onion. What's your reason behind the reason that you want to get motivated to continue to do something healthy for yourself? And so, that's what we try to look at, but every diet works for a certain amount of time. But remember, we're not talking diet, we're talking edit. Remember?
We're talking longevity. We're talking about, this is a lifestyle, this is a behavioral change that you want to make so that you can be playing with your grandchildren, holding them, running up and down the steps without being and hurting and having that inflammation.
You guys would be terrified to go out to eat with me. Terrified. I'm sitting here and I'm like, all makes sense. But since I was 22 years old, when I go to a restaurant, which because my work, I go to restaurants fairly often. I'll tell the waiter or the waitress, surprise me. And people they go crazy. I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday because I was at D'Annunzio's in Monroeville, Pennsylvania last week, which was fantastic. I actually got to meet the Hanson brother, the real life Hanson brother of Slapshot the movie. There was one of those, one of the 3 brothers, whose last name was actually Hanson, I made D'Annunzio was a caddy in Caddyshack. He was the caddy that went to get the Coke, and he didn't want to pay 50 cents. So I got going to the room where everybody's at, and I'm like, I said, "Oh, you ain't getting no stinking Coke," and nobody laughed. I'm like, "This is the best material, right?" Caddyshack. Right? And I sit down, and the guy next to me is like, "Hey, do you ever seen Slapshot?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." He says, "You ever met, the Hanson brothers?" I said, "Yeah." "You want to meet the Hanson?" I met him the next day. He's going to be on the podcast. Amazing guy, wonderful human being. But I said, "Surprise me." My friend was telling me the other day. He goes, "I'm sitting there looking at you, and you say surprise me, and they brought me this seafood dish that was loaded with shrimp and scallops and everything else." He's like, and creamy pasta and all this stuff and bread, and it was fantastic. It was delicious. It was a gout flare up waiting to happen. But like for me, like that's probably one of my biggest problems is I enjoy having meals like that on a regular basis because I'm leaving for Ocean City, Maryland, day after tomorrow. Then I'm going to St. Joseph, Missouri, and I gotta have a steak in St. Joseph, Missouri. I gotta go to the barbershop. Director's Cut in Kansas City. If you ever go to Kansas City Airport, go to the Director's Cut. It's a bar. You don't need a drink, but it's cool. But they give you a hot shave too. They got barber chairs there.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah,
Carol, there you go.
Yeah, and shine your shoes. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. So
but Josh, I want to go back to that now. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be okay. You can navigate through every meal. I'm telling you. And we have what we call portion distortion out there. And the idea is we can utilize our hand as our best portion guide. And I'm gonna make you do this. And I'm telling you, you're gonna succeed.
This is good. You're gonna love it, Josh.
Yeah, Josh, your listeners are gonna really enjoy this. So now, of course, when you go out to eat, they serve you heaping mounds of food.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just the nature of our business. Now, protein, right? We gotta have a protein.
Yeah.
So the RDs, the registered dietitians, tell us we want 3 to 4 ounces of protein. Josh, that fits in the palm of your hand, a deck of cards or a bar of soap. That's the portion that you're looking at. I mean, when's the last time you went to a steak restaurant? They served you just, 3 to 4 ounces. You probably get up and walk out, right?
Yeah.
So that's the protein. Now for guys, especially guys that are, your size, you're a big guy. I mean, you're a bulky guy. You got
Husky.
muscle.
I'm husky.
You need husky, exactly. You need 5-6 ounces for sure. But for somebody who's a lady and so forth, 3 ounces is sufficient for that meal. Because now let's look at vegetables. Okay, 2 cupped hands. That's the vegetable portion. So now you're navigating the plate, right? Your starch, okay, your rice, your pastas, your potatoes. That, believe it or not, is the size of your fist. Now, I'm half Italian, I must tell you. When's the last time you went to D'Annunzio's and they served you pasta that size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. So you got to be careful. So if you're navigating around the plate, it looks like I'm filling up on the vegetables. I got a little bit of protein, a little bit of starch. Remember, it's not diet. You're still eating. Our thumb, that's the tablespoon, the sour creams, the peanut butters, the salad dressings, the thumb tip right here. That's things like butter and mayo and some certain oils. Now, a cupped hand is our snacks. It's about 1 ounce. Things like nuts or chips or Doritos or tortilla chips. That's about 1 ounce. So you can safely navigate through any meal when you start thinking that, okay, it's all portions. So it's produce, it's protein, it's portions, and you can't go wrong. And I will say one thing that, good health isn't about chance. Good health is about choice. So depending on what you want and what your goal is, we can really focus in on doable, propositions like this. We know that portions are going to work for us. We know that we got to watch the sugar. We know we got to watch the refined carbs. We know we have to have protein. We know we got to move a little bit, but more isn't better. So we know we got to have strength training. And so you start implementing these little things and you'd be surprised how your body shifts and transforms. And at that point, then it shifts to the mind. So, you know what? Maybe I won't have that extra serving of pasta and beans, pasta vajol, So it's going to be where that's how you kind of manifest a healthy lifestyle and still live. Because nobody wants to go on a diet. Deprivation is a sure way for failure. We don't want that. Who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
So
well, that's going to be my next part. But this is, all right, can you zoom in on this, Adam? I actually took a picture of this plate because it was amazing. That's D'Annunzio's pasta plate. Oh, it's not coming in because of the light, but it's like 6 fistfuls of pasta. It was fantastic. Yeah,
and I was just going to say, Jamie, what you just said is fantastic. You don't have, I call people, you don't have to suffer because so many people are like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to deprive myself. You don't. Take it home with you. Do the proper servings. Get what you want because we don't want you to be like craving. And then take it home and either freeze it and have it as another meal or 2 meals or 3 meals. So stretch that meal.
Carol, with that, I will say this too. And those, we got great strategies for that, Josh. But the other thing is this, you're going on the road. You got people that are, living a lifestyle where they may have to travel a little bit here and there. Listen, there's going to be days where you're not going to be as healthy as you want. You know what you got to say? So what? You pick it up the next meal, the next day, the next week. That's how you don't beat yourself up, because otherwise, if you're beating yourself up constantly, negative, I can't believe I ate that. I can't believe I ate too much. Just pick it up the next meal. And that way you can win at losing long term, because that's not a diet mentality. That's a health mentality. And so think about it. Just call it so what. It's a so what. Now, if you have too many so what days, we're in trouble.
Well, that's what. So that's kind of queuing up my my next question and thought. And what you're saying you guys are looking to do is get that more interactive engagement and virtual and all of that. And so for me, accountability is the biggest piece to this, right? If you don't have an accountability partner, accountability coach, and an accountability program, where shoot, I got to call Jamie and I got to talk to him, or I got to go on Zoom and he's going to know that I had the D'Annunzio special seafood and followed it up with a loaf of garlic bread and so what did the week. So where are your biggest challenges with, like, so people that aren't successful with these programs aren't successful not because the program doesn't work, it's because they don't work, right? And so where do you see the biggest, so we'll use me as an example. I'm a great example. I'm a prime example of a failed system. I got sick in 2008, thought I was going to die. I had pneumonia, had a reaction to the medication they gave me. I went blind for a little bit. And then they found a mass in my lung, And, I thought I had lung cancer. I was convinced I was going to die, and it didn't. I was fortunate enough to be, okay and fine, but it was a shock to my system. I had pneumonia, was out for a month, laying in bed, and I was in great shape until 2008. I played sports. I wouldn't call myself an athlete, but I was in good shape. Sometimes people would even say it looked like I was the saying is manorexic, because I was so skinny at times, right? And then all of a sudden I was laying in bed sick. I gained probably 20 pounds over the course of a number of months. And then over the course of the next 15, 16 years, I've gained every year and haven't lost any, right? I've had a couple of instances where I had a friend of mine that challenged me to climb a 14er with him. He basically said I wouldn't say no to a challenge. And so I didn't. And he's like, you probably are also not going to train that much. And so I went on the keto diet. I actually did a podcast about it. Went on the keto diet, walked every day for a couple months, lost 25 pounds, attempted the hike, and then went right back, and then ended up, in the bad place again. I make every excuse. And I'm fully admitting to it. I make every excuse as to why I can't or I shouldn't. My driveway's 800 feet long. So I literally, and I'm not saying that as like a braggadocious thing, but I live in the woods. And so in order for me to check my mail, just to do that, I could walk almost a quarter of a mile just walking my driveway to check the mail, but I take my golf cart, right? So it's these psychological things. And I have this crazy feeling like my grandmother passed away November 26th. Carol, you heard the story about my grandmother. She died 5 days shy of 100.5, sweeping her deck, preparing for a party with drinking alcohol and eating steak and Portuguese bread. And, and so I have that false expectation and she put a pound of sugar in her coffee, and she drank Coca-Cola. And, she was one of those unique ones that was able to, I guess, cheat the system. But we grew up, we either raised, killed, or bartered food. So we had while we were not wealthy in the 70s and 80s, we weren't eating anything with preservatives. It was all
right. Everything back then was so much healthier.
Yeah, it was all grown or all that stuff. So
and it was made with love. It was homemade. It wasn't opening up a package and dumping it. Yeah. There's a difference with the way our food is processed today from back in the 70s.
So here's my question to you. I walk into your office or I walk into your gym, and I'm like, hey, I'm pushing 50, and I get a 6-year-old and a 17-year-old. I could be in a wheelchair when my youngest goes to get his diploma. But here's my question to you. A guy like me walks in, I need help, I need to get myself right. You're going to turn to rust. If I rest, and I'm a couch potato, and I'm probably a failure waiting to happen all over again. How do you, because I'm sure this has happened 1,000 times, million times, right? You sold millions of 8-minute abs, and there's probably a very high percentage of people that weren't successful because they didn't hit play.
Right.
Probably.
How do you two have and contain and hold? I mean, your energy's like ridiculous. I can feel it from Boston. Like I'm just sitting here like, you guys lighten the room up. So how do you guys keep from getting discouraged with, probably a strong failure rate based on the person, not on you? Like, how do you keep it going?
You never fail unless you stop trying. That's the first one. And I right off the bat, but I almost guarantee, from accountability standpoint, because of course, we can work one-on-one with people, but from an overall standpoint, Weight Watchers worked because why? People would have to go and they could weigh themselves at home, but when they had to go in and weigh in front of somebody, there was that accountability factor, Josh, just like you were saying. But I can tell you from a physics standpoint, your fork and spoon are still your best piece of fitness equipment. So what I ask people to do for 7 days, I want to see I want to assess what they're doing as far as eating, because I can tell you this, it's not going to be the fitness side of things that are going to sabotage it. It's going to be the nutrition. That's the hardest part. Yeah, exercise is good. It's nice, but it's nutrition. Your fork and spoon, that's it. And because we want to see exactly, there's going to be patterns on that page what do you eat for breakfast? Maybe you don't eat breakfast. Okay. So there's going to be red flags that we can actually see. And we've been doing this long enough, based on registered dietitian driven strategies that you can see what's a red flag and what's not. So if we can just kind of navigate through somebody's lifestyle based on, of course, their current lifestyle habits, and we get a snapshot of where they're at. That's why we do a questionnaire up front. Do they eat out a lot? Okay, well, that tells us something. Do they eat home a lot? Do they like to snack? Do they have cravings? What kind of foods? Do they drink alcohol? So we can get an idea of a person's lifestyle and then kind of maneuver around that. And based on our of course, expertise at that point, then we could recommend. But all the time going through their lifestyle, just like you said, if you're on the road a lot, well, then we would pick out places that are fast food that you can eat and that here's some good choices to make. And that's how we kind of do it. And that accountability, I believe, is absolutely paramount. But I'm telling you, you can't outtrain a poor diet. You can't outrun it. So it's going to be, the nutrition is going to be the factor that's the downside.
Yeah,
I'm right there with Jamie on this. I take mine a little bit one step further with women. I actually ask them emotionally, what was their day like? How were they feeling? Did they stress eat? What went on to basically cause them maybe to overeat? So I want them to write down exactly what they were feeling at that point. Because that also, your emotions people eat because they're in love, they're sad, so let's figure out what went on that day for you as well. Just like Jamie, what he does is I send out a questionnaire. I make my clients write down what they ate for 2 weeks. I want to see, and then we begin the journey because I want to know what is their mental, emotional, physical process as they're starting this journey.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Jamie, we're right on with what we do together.
Yeah, and Josh, by the way, of course, nutrition is the paramount. But when you put on lean muscle tissue, and Carol just said it earlier, it covers up a lot of nutritional sins. By the way, because you're constantly burning and churning, like she was saying, that metabolic aspect of muscle tissue. I mean, you're burning and churning 3 to 4 times more than if you had a pound of fat. So, the idea is if you put all these things together, just did a little bit, you're going to see some things happen. And therefore, once that light bulb goes off and says, you know what, I'm looking in the mirror going, you know what, I kind of like what I see. I get a thumb I can fit in my pants now.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I won't have that extra piece of chocolate cake. Now it's starting to transform mentally, physically, and that's where you got to be. And just those little daily victories, they'll add up. And you just want to keep habits going. Boom, boom, boom.
It's their motivation. It is. It's literally their motivation when they realize they're like, oh my God, I put on a pair of pants that I haven't fit in the last 2 years. And then that motivates them even more so.
Yeah.
That's what makes it go. I
want to get out of pants with an elastic band. Well,
you're going to do well. You're going to do well, Josh. I think you got muscle tissue. So
I got some work to do. And you guys said, hey, how long is this going to be? And I told you, we could go as long as we need to, was up to an hour. But we got lots to talk about, and it's been an hour. It's flown by.
Wow.
Adam is telling me the minutes. Yeah, you guys. I mean, just your energy, this flew right by. I have to say, first and foremost, thank you to both of you for the work that you do, because helping people live longer lives, healthier lives, is so important. And as right now, I also think that this period of time, I'm sure you guys are dealing with it. Lots of people around you, your parents, people's parents, people that are your age, you're seeing them pass away a lot more frequently than just 10 years ago, right? And so if you can help that and get people healthier to do these things, I think it's great. So your mission is right, and there's nothing better than trying to help get people on the right track. So congratulations on that. Thank you for joining me, and thank you, Carol. Like you said, you came up. I was selling T-shirts. I was dripping. I think I was sweating.
I gotta talk to you.
Yeah. No, that was great. No, I actually just was talking to the folks in Ohio. I'm going there in August. I've got 3 bookings already for
Nice,
school.
nice. And I love it. Be
Yeah.
awesome. That's, you
Yeah.
know, it's all about positivity.
Yeah,
I'm all about
absolutely.
the energy and sharing it with everybody and share the love. I always tell
Well,
people to share the love.
We'll get you guys some BeAuSm stuff sent
Yeah.
out here afterwards. But how do people get a hold of you? How do they, are there any exciting events or programs or anything that's coming up that you want to share with people, and we'll put them
I
on the
did
show
send
notes?
you, Joshua, if you want
Yep.
to share with your listeners, all of our programs, Jamie and our programs.
Yep.
For me, you can reach me at www.totalwellness.coach and reach out to me. I will be happy to work one-on-one. And like I said, we have those programs that you could share with your listeners.
Okay.
That is my goal. Is if I can help one person, then you know what? I made a difference.
Awesome.
Yep. Take heed of that. She's great.
Yep. And how about you, Jamie? What?
Yeah, Josh, it's really, for me, it's 8minutebody.com. And you can just get in touch with me if you have questions. We usually answer within 24 hours or so. And I just leave it with these thoughts, guys. You want to go from old to bold out there, those boomers, and, learn it, live it, lose it. You're going to love it. So take control of your health. Today is your tomorrow, right? It's up to you to shape it, and take control of seize every opportunity you can. The powers and the choices you make every day. If you eat well, you live well, you shape you. So Josh, you're going to do great too.
Yeah.
Now you got your hand as your portion control guy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be vibrant people, not vintage.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
all right, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Adam, thank you for making us sound good.
Yes.
Adam, thank you. Yes, that's I always end with Adam, thanks, and ECAT. That'll do it for this episode. These episodes come together by just having engagement with great people, and then it just spirals and snowballs and get more great people to come on the podcast. And Mark, I miss you. I'm looking over at his chair. He's empty. He's not here.
We miss you too.
Yeah, he'll be back for episode 121, because especially if it's Dave Hansen, because he's a big fan and a former hockey player. So that'll do it for another episode here. As always, 5-star rating and reviews, they go a real long way for us. We're in the top 2.5% of all podcasts, which is 3.7 million, I think. So
wow,
congratulations. Thank you. We want to get down to the top 2%, top 1%, not because of anything other than we want to spread the good word of all of our great guests, our awesome guests. And so if you can do that for us, that's great. If not, send me an email, Josh at BeAuSm. Tell me what I can do better to get better and to make the podcast better. So as the new saying goes, you are awesome. Have a great day, everybody.
Coming to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.